Paul Rossi here with 910 Drones and Sergeant Rick Smith with the Antioch Police Department. Sergeant Smith is going to give us a playback on how drones can be used to support officers during a foot pursuit. Sergeant Smith, go ahead and take us away.
Well, what you're seeing here now is a suspect who's eluded capture at least 4 other times. We had some information where he was at, and if you watch the middle of the screen, you can see him jump in the back fence when officers approach trying to take him into custody. Knowing this was going to happen, we already had a perimeter set up with pretty good integrity, and I was an overwatch along with a fixed-wing aircraft from CHP. What I managed to capture, you see in the middle of this video now, was crucial. In every other prior incident, he was able to dump a firearm, what one time included an AR-15 rifle. What you just saw there was him dumping his firearm and his bag of narcotics in the trash can in someone's rear yard. My job here was as overwatch and to relay to perimeter units his direction, travel, and what was going on with him. You can see him scrambling, trying to figure out where to go and what to do. He didn't have any clue as to exactly how to avoid us because every corner you ran into an officer. We had a very well-established perimeter. We practiced extensively and trained extensively on perimeter security and at the same time educating my officers on what the drones provide to them. This time I own the radio. They're not transmitting anything. I'm giving them updates. He was very, very eager to try to get away. So I maintained visual updating at the same time, moving my perimeter around and adjusting as necessary. The point was trying to get him locked into a yard versus chasing him through the yards. This was a lengthy foot pursuit. We skipped a little bit ahead. It was about integrity of the perimeter. You can see he comes out. One of my officers in the perimeter tries to confront him down the driveway. He gets a little bit of a jump on the officer, keeps running. At the same time, I'm maintaining radio integrity and letting them understand where he's going and what's going on. At the same time, I'm directing that officer to go to the middle of that field and hold his perimeter spot. Top left corner, you see more officers moving in, trying to box that perimeter down. We were thinking that we were able to get him boxed into a yard. At the same time, the bottom right, you'll see officers starting to move up the street on the outside. And you don't see off screen as I have perimeters along the street on the north side, very top, that are actually holding that in. So this gentleman was very elusive. So we lose sight of what he's doing right now. So we start checking the area and going over to it. He's running in through the yards. We get a glimpse of him going through that overcover, the rear of the house with a dark gray roof. He goes ahead and goes along the side of that house. Anyone who's done tactics for this job period of time, we always train, don't go around blind corners. Don't go over fences not knowing what's on the other side. More officers are killed or injured through confrontations by suspects laying in wait. What I'm able to identify here is I'm moving my units in for a tighter perimeter, knowing we have him boxed in a yard. At the same time, I notice as I move over to the right slightly, I see him hunkered down on the fence line near the house with the gray roof to the right above the red car. I have an officer who's starting to go over and jump that fence. I'm telling him on the radio, do not climb that fence. Hold your position. And I'm requesting the canine to come up. That being said, it's a tactic that we don't want to see an officer go over and get hurt. We hold off, wait for the proper tools, slow our pace down, get organized, and address the scene as we need to. Unfortunately, as you see officers starting to arrive, he gets his second wind and takes off. So now he's going to take off through the yard again. He sees officers on to the top left corner in that perimeter, and he's going to actually break that and start heading back out through here. And this entails a much longer foot pursuit. Officers are adjusting. The same, I kind of lose him under the shrubs. Having done this before and trained with this, you start looking for obstacles and things moving around, looking for the trees moving, looking for cats or dogs reacting. There he picks back up and is able to come through this parking lot. You'll see him at the bottom of the screen running out into the next open field. So now my officers not being committed to that 1 yard are able to back out and adjust this perimeter and move as a unit all the way towards the top of the screen. In this case would be to the south, sorry, and then adjust as necessary. Units are starting to arrive and move around to contain this gentleman again. At the same time, everywhere he goes, he sees an officer. He can't get out. This subject led us on a very lengthy foot pursuit. You see him jumping in a yard now. He's going to continue around and go under this structure. I don't mean to be a spoil killer here, but eventually he does come out from that structure as we're trying to move in and close this perimeter down, which was quite fluid this entire chase. He goes into a neighboring yard and eventually climbs a tree, is brought down, taken into custody successively, no one injured, no real uses of force, and this made him finally get captured. As I noted at the beginning of this, he had evaded arrest several times, and each time there was no drone available and no air support. His ability was to break the perimeter because you can see his tenacity to escape and his skill. This time, he wasn't that lucky because the perimeter was fluid, rehearsed, and practiced through training, and we were consistent in what we did. My hat's off to my guys and my other officers who maintained that integrity the entire time. Again, this boils down to my other montage of train, train, train. You have to train to do this. If you don't train with your staff and let them understand your ability, you will not be successful in these apprehensions most of the time. And they won't rely on you or count on you to provide that information. Another point is officer safety. This saved a life. If my officer hit that fence and got shot and killed by that suspect in the lake, who knows what this would be, outcome could be from that point. Being able to stop my officers probably saved his life. But thank you.
Thank you very much, Sergeant Smith, for sharing that. And this drone here with this foot pursuit, as you can see, your team, your officers at the Antioch Police Department were always one step ahead of this suspect, even to the end where you have 4 officers that are ready for that individual to try to continue that pursuit. So thank you very much for sharing this information.
Thank you.